Top 10 strange phobias you won't believe exist. Today's video takes you on a captivating journey into the world of phobias. It's not strange to exhibit fear of certain conditions or places. A common one is the fear of enclosed spaces. However, do you know that there are extremely strange phobias that you don't believe exist? From the fear of sitting down to the fear of fear. Yes, that's a thing. Here's a look at the top 10 strange phobias you won't believe exist. Number 10. Hippopotomonstrosesquipped phobia. Well, this word is so long that almost everyone would be afraid to call it out loud. So, imagine how cruel it is that this is used to refer to the fear of long words. It is also known as sesquipedalophobia, where sesqui is a Latin word that means 1.5 and pedal means foot. Together, this word literally translates to the fear of 1.5 feet, which represents the fear of long words. Hippopotomonstrosesquipped happens when the person feels embarrassed or ashamed to pronounce long words. This phobia has also been found in patients with dyslexia. Number 9. Phobophobia. What happens when you're afraid of fear itself? It sounds really bizarre, but this is actually a thing known as Bibliophobia. This is the fear of phobia, which started to get a lot of attention after it was published in the Journal of Nervous and Mental Disease in 1983. A person with Bibliophobia experiences intense fear when they are faced with physical sensations like faster heartbeat and shortness of breath in response to a scary situation. It can be diagnosed alongside anxiety disorders, and that's a really big deal as it affects quality of life. Do you think you can get through a day being afraid of fear? Number 8. Plutophobia. For many people, money is the ticket to living their dream life. With all the money you could ever desire, you can afford luxuries, vacations, and pretty much anything at the snap of your fingers, or at least the swipe of your card. But can you believe that there are people who experience plutophobia, which is the fear of money or wealth? People with this fear dread the idea of having a lot of money and dealing with it, or even interacting with wealthy individuals. It can be so extreme that they go the extra mile to sabotage their careers or businesses that could make them become wealthy. Sometimes, this situation is triggered by trauma, such as being robbed or being overcome with the pressures of being rich. Number 7. Optophobia. Some people refer to the eyes as the gateway to the soul, and they are not so wrong. The eyes are one of the most important parts of the body, especially considering all the things you can achieve with proper eyesight. So, why does a phobia like optophobia exist, where the person has the fear of opening their eyes? No, we're not talking about the regular fear you feel when it's Monday and your alarm has gone off, but you're not ready to get out of bed just yet. This is an extreme fear where the person is super reluctant to go about their day with their eyes open. Instead, these people would prefer to spend every hour in dark areas or completely indoors. Sounds really tough. Number 6. Euphobia. Congratulations! You've just been promoted. Naturally, this is really good news that would get anyone excited. But excitement is not what you would get from someone who suffers from euphobia, the fear of good news. People with this phobia genuinely don't want to be associated with any good news, as they would get absolutely terrified. Can you imagine anyone going through life expecting that they won't have to hear good news? Research has shown that this is usually triggered by experiences where the person has something terrible associated with hearing good news. This could be a major trauma, such as losing a loved one after getting some amazing news. Number 5. Cathisophobia. Say hello to the fear of sitting down, a phobia known medically as cathisophobia. People with this strange phobia have a hard time getting through their daily activities. Of course, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that the fear of sitting down can affect all aspects of a person's life. Imagine not being able to sit at the workplace or at home to watch television. It would be impossible to stand through an entire movie at the cinema, so that activity is pretty much cancelled as well. Not to mention how painful this can get for people who have to stand for hours. The relief would probably come when they get the chance to lie down on their beds after a long day, except as a way to incorporate beds in the office. Doesn't look like this would be happening soon though. Number 4. Chileophobia. This is a social anxiety that represents the fear of laughter or being laughed at. If we were to guess, we would say that this phobia has a lot to do with bullying or being mocked publicly. People with this phobia may have found themselves in a similar situation all too often, and this triggered anxiety associated with laughter. Unfortunately, this also involves funny situations that are not particularly directed at the sufferer. With this strange phobia, it means that they don't want to be associated with anything that involves laughter, and that can be really dark. Number 3. Agoraphobia. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because it didn't have agoraphobia, the fear of crossing the street. A major cause of this phobia is linked to trauma associated with crossing the street. So, the person with agoraphobia may likely have had a fatal accident or had a loved one who was involved in one. Sometimes, all it takes is almost getting into an accident while crossing the street, and this triggers anxiety associated with this phobia. This is still a little easy to live with if the person gets to drive everywhere, but is that really sustainable? Number 2. Pyrophobia. A person with chirophobia experiences a high level of anxiety associated with the fear of their hands or other hands in general. This can be triggered by an intense hand injury or the onset of arthritis. However, it's definitely strange to imagine that fear of hands exists, as we need our hands to perform a lot of daily actions. It gets you wondering how people with chirophobia shake hands, write, handle objects, or even scrub their bodies during a bath. Sounds like a lot of work. Number 1. Bibliophobia. While going through our day-to-day lives, there's a high chance that you would have to interact with books. Whether it's to get a college education or to research a few topics at the workplace, you would inevitably have to open up a book at some point. So, what happens when you have one of the strangest phobias ever, the fear of books known as bibliophobia? This overwhelming fear of books may be limited to specific types like textbooks on a particular subject or children's books. For some people, this fear is triggered by the effect of the reading culture on their immediate environment. Did you enjoy this video? Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing and entertaining information.